Namaste everyone, and wish you all a very happy Raksha Bandhan. So let us start this event by observing a minute of silence. I feel extremely delighted to welcome you all to the inauguration ceremony of the ICPR sponsored 10 lecture series on Sri Aurobindo's political and cultural philosophy, nationalism and Swaraj. This inauguration the inauguration of this lecture series is being organized by the Center for Human Sciences, Rishihood University, in collaboration with Bhartiya Vidya Bhavan, New Delhi, ICPR and Ministry of Education, Government of India. This program is a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, where we are celebrating 75 years of India's independence and 150 years of Sri Aurobindo's birth. So now I would like to introduce our esteemed guests for this event. We have as our chief guest, Honorable Minister of State for Culture and External Affairs, Meenakshi Lekhi ji. After having obtained her bachelor's degree from Hindu College, University of Delhi, she has studied law and from the Faculty of Law, University of Delhi, and apart from being a legislator, she is also a lawyer practicing at Delhi High Court and the Supreme Court of India. So I would like to invite Shri Rajesh Mishra ji, Registrar, Bhartiya Vidya Bhavan, to facilitate the Honorable Minister. Thank you, sir. And as our special guest for this event, we have Dr Sachidananda Mishra ji. He is a remarkable scholar of Sanskrit and has been teaching at Banaras Hindu University as a professor of philosophy and religion. He has been awarded with Maharishi Badrayan Vyas Samman by the then President of India, Pratibha Patil ji, for his outstanding contribution towards Sanskrit. And he is currently serving as the member secretary of the ICPR. And I would like to invite Sanjeev Kumar ji, Dean Rashtriya School of Public Leadership, to honor our guest. Please, sir. Thank you, sir. And as our chief speaker for today's event, we have Dr. Makarand Paranjape ji. He is a former director of the Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Shimla, and is a professor of English at the Center for English Studies at Jawaharlal Nehru University, New Delhi. He is also a greatly celebrated novelist and a poet and his latest novel, Body Offerings, explores the age-old questions related to love and relationship. It is out in the market, so I request all of you, those who are interested, to book your copy soon. And to honor him, I would like to invite uh, Professor Mala Kapadia ji, Professor, Rashtriya School of Public Leadership, to honor our guest. Thank you, ma'am. We have Sri Rajesh Mishra ji, Registrar, Bhartiya Vidya Bhavan, and he is a retired officer, and he has also served in many capacities in the government, including the Secretary of Education, Arunachal Pradesh. And to honor him, I would like to request Dr Sampadananda Mishra ji, Director, Center for Human Sciences, Rishihood University, to honor our guest. We have Shri Ashok Pradhan ji. He is not physically here, but without his cooperation, nothing of this would have been possible. He is a retired IAS officer and formerly the Secretary in the Government of India. And during his service to the nation, he has handled very sensitive assignments in India as well as abroad. We have Professor Shashibala ji, and she is the Dean of Center of Indology at Bhartiya Vidya Bhavan, and she specializes in Buddhist iconography and cross-cultural connection among Asian countries. And to honor her, I would like to invite Professor Riva Rana, Dean School of Education at Rishihood University, to honor our guest. Thank you so much, ma'am. And last but not the least, we have our very own Dr. Sampadananda Mishra ji, Director, Center for Human Sciences, who is the convener of this entire program. And to honor him, I would like to invite Shri Vijay Bhardwaj ji, Deputy Registrar with Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, to honor our convener. So thank you everyone, and without much further ado, I would like to invite Dr. Sampadananda Mishra ji to give the welcome address. Welcome, sir.
नमस्कार. आमचे आसन आदरणीय मीनाक्षी लेखी जी, प्रोफेसर मकरंद परांजपे जी, प्रोफेसर सच्चिदानंद मिश्रा जी, राजेश मिश्रा जी, प्रोफेसर शशिबाला जी, और समावेश उपस्थित अन्य मित्रगण, समय की सीमाओं को ध्यान में रखते हुए बहुत ही संक्षिप्त में पहले मैं आप सभी का स्वागत अभिवादन करता हूं और बहुत ही संक्षिप्त में मैं ये कहना चाहता हूं कि आज से ठीक 2 साल पहले प्रोफेसर मानक पाड़िया जी भी बैठे हुए हैं यहाँ पे 12 अगस्त को 150 इयर्स ऑफ सेलिब्रेशन श्री अरबिंदो के उसका जो ब्लूप्रिंट है हम लोगों ने ये तैयार किया था और उसको सबके साथ हमने साझा किया था और उसी दिन से ये कार्यक्रम प्रारंभ हुआ था। और आज मुझे बेहद खुशी हो रही है कि ठीक 2 साल बाद और वही डेट पे 12 अगस्त को आज ये लेक्चर सीरीज का उद्घाटन हो रहा है। और इस लेक्चर सीरीज में श्री अरविंद के जो विशेष योगदान है भारत के स्वाधीनता संग्राम में और भारत की स्वाधीनता प्राप्ति में और उनके जो नेशनलिज्म है, उनके जो एजुकेशनल फिलोसॉफी है, उनके जो स्पिरिचुअल फिलोसॉफी है, उनके जो योग है, ये सबका योगदान भारत के स्वधर्म को, भारत के स्वभाव को और स्वराज प्राप्ति में किससे इसका योगदान रहा है, इन विषयों को लेकर हम 10 लेक्चर सीरीज करेंगे। ये लेक्चर सीरीज में 10 लेक्चर होंगे और इसके लिए ICPR को मैं बहुत ही धन्यवाद देता हूँ, विशेष करके प्रोफेसर सच्चिदानंद मिश्रा जी को, जिन्होंने ये काम सौंपा है हमारे ऊपर। और आशा है कि बहुत सारे, जैसे आज का लेक्चर जो होगा, पहला लेक्चर होगा जो प्रोफेसर मकरंद परांजपे जी का, और इसी प्रकार हम 10 अन्य लेक्चर कराएंगे इस सीरीज में, जिससे कि ये 150 इयर्स श्री अरबिंदो का जो सेलिब्रेशन हो रहा है वो 75 इयर्स ऑफ इंडिया इंडिपेंडेंस भी है, इसमें हमारा थोड़ा बहुत योगदान रहेगा। तो इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ मैं आप सभी का हृदय से स्वागत करता हूँ और आशा है कि आपकी उपस्थिति यहाँ पे आप बहुत खुश होकर जाएंगे और मकरंद भाई का लेक्चर तो जरूर ही आप लोगों के लिए प्रभावी रहेगा। और बस फिर से एक बार मकरंद भाई आपको पुनः प्रणाम। मीनाक्षी जी, आपकी उपस्थिति भी बहुत मायने रखता है हम लोगों के लिए और हम आशा भी रखते हैं आपको सुनने के लिए। वी आर लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू हियर यू। धन्यवाद।
Thank you so much, sir, for setting up the context for the lecture series. And now I would like to invite Dr. Shashibala ji, who will be speaking on behalf of Sri Aurobindo Pradhan ji, Director, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan. Welcome, ma'am.
सभी को सादर नमस्कार। सम्माननीय मंत्री श्रीमती मीनाक्षी लेखी जी, डॉक्टर संपदानंद मिश्रा जी, डॉक्टर सच्चिदानंद मिश्रा जी, राजेश मिश्रा जी एवं इस सभा में पधारे सभी गणमान्य विद्वान। मैं 2 शब्द हिंदी में कहना चाहूंगी क्योंकि ये हमारा स्वतंत्रता का अमृत महोत्सव है और महर्षि अरविंद जैसे महान विभूति का हम 150वां जन्मदिन मना रहे हैं। भारतवर्ष एक विलक्षण राष्ट्र है। इसकी आत्मा ऋषियों, मुनियों ने, महर्षियों ने, आचार्यों ने और गुरुओं ने पुष्पित और पल्लवित की है। इसमें एक महान संस्कृति विलसती है। इस संस्कृति का हनन 1000 वर्षों तक विदेशी आक्रांताओं ने किया। हम लोग दास रहे। राजनीतिक स्वतंत्रता के साथ साथ भारतीय विलक्षण धरोहर का संरक्षण, संपोषण एवं संवर्धन एक अति महत्वपूर्ण विषय रहा है। इसने सहस्त्रों वर्षों के त्याग और तप के आधार पर एक विश्व कल्याण का मार्ग प्रशस्त किया। जिस समय भारत माता स्वतंत्रता की बेड़ियों में जकड़ी करा रही थी, उस युग में ऐसी महान विभूति महर्षि अरविंद का जन्म होता है। उनके हृदय में राष्ट्र की चहुओर स्वतंत्रता का एक स्फुलिंग धधक रहा था। अंग्रेजी शिक्षा उन्हें अपने लक्ष्य से विमुख नहीं कर पाई। दिव्य भव्य भारत के सृष्टा, उसके निर्माता के रूप में एक स्वप्न संजोए वे आजीवन इदम राष्ट्राय इदम नमः का मंत्र जाकर उसकी जीवन की आहुति देती रही। इनके प्रति सच्ची श्रद्धांजलि अर्पण करने के लक्ष्य से और अगली पीढ़ी, जैसा कि आप इस भवन में देख रहे हैं, अगली पीढ़ियों को प्रेरित करने के लिए हम सब एकत्रित हुए हैं। हमारे मनस्वी निदेशक श्री अशोक प्रधान जी किसी कारणवश आज हमारे बीच उपस्थित नहीं हो पाए हैं, अतः मैं उनके द्वारा दिया गया संदेश आप तक पहुंचाने का अपना दायित्व वहन करती हूँ। श्री अशोक प्रधान जी ने भेजा है, Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan is known for its unparalleled commitment to promoting Sanskrit and Sanskriti. Was set up with a specific aim by Sri K.M. Munshi ji through a charitable trust in 1938. With modest beginnings and humility towards Indian knowledge systems, the institute has more than 114 centers across the globe. However, it is known to very few people to date that the inspiration and seed of protecting, harnessing and seeing Indian knowledge as substantive and identity building root came mainly from the inspiring influence of his teacher, Sri Aurobindo. Today, as we celebrate Sri Aurobindo's 150th birth anniversary, memories and metaphors that directed Sri Munshi ji towards this path emanated from his English and Western Bengali professor who would transform himself into a yogi in the coming years. Munshi ji states in his work, Foundations of Indian Culture, that Sri Aurobindo metamorphosed him into an apostle of Indian nationalism based on history, culture, philosophy and dharma. It was the influence and impact Sri Aurobindo's philosophy that led Munshi ji on the path of creating a dedicated institution for teaching, proliferation, researching into the foundations of Indian culture. He firmly believed that he had learned from his guru, Sri Aurobindo in Baroda, that there is much to learn from the living foundations of Indian culture that have not dismembered against the test in time, unlike other civilizations that have become merely objects of museum value. Indian culture has only argued socially, politically and culturally through various scientific and economic phases, with the 6,000-year-old foundations continuing to act as the dharma in thought and practice. He learned from Sri Aurobindo that to build a nation and progress one's field must be firmly planted in its culture. With the onset of Western education, most people find it difficult to vitalize roots in their own soil, an epiphany that many are yet to deal with even 150 years or so have passed. Munshi ji notions of vitalizing our roots in the soil had as its backbone in the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo, which had as its main tenet the idea of supermind. It is the intermediate power between the supreme reality Brahman and the manifested world. It is the supermind that had been relegated to the background through the onslaught of Western education. Being impervious to human flaws, it has been omnipresent in the Indian mind. It can be realized within ourselves as it is always present within our mind. Bhavan's commitment towards his Indian history, culture, Sanskrit and Sanskriti is philosophical yet realistic vision of invoking and firmly reinstating its forward present in the lives of the billions of Indians. Sri Aurobindo did not portray supermind as an original invention of his own, but believes that it can be found in the Vedas and the Vedic gods represent powers of the supermind. In this work, the integral yoga, he declares that by the supermind is meant full truth, consciousness of the divine nature in which there can be no place for the principle of division and ignorance. It is always a full light and knowledge superior to all mental substances and mental movements. It is for this very process, the realization in all Indians that his student and our founder, Sri K.M. Munshi ji, dedicated his life. It is great honor for Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan to have the opportunity to host the inaugural event for the Guru of the Guru. Namaste and thank you very much.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for addressing us on behalf of Dr. Shri Ashok Pradhan ji, and for explaining to us and underlining the contributions of Sri Aurobindo towards the service of our nation. And now I would like to invite Dr. Sachidananda Mishra ji, Member Secretary ICPR, to address us on this occasion. Welcome, sir.
नमः सभाभ्यां सभापतिभ्यश्च नमो नमः। समादरणीय मंत्री जी श्रीमती मीनाक्षी लेखी जी, इस सभा कक्ष में उपस्थित आज के विशिष्ट वक्ता प्रोफेसर मकरंद परांजपे जी, इस सभा कक्ष में उपस्थित श्री राजेश मिश्र जी, डॉक्टर शशिबाला जी, इस कार्यक्रम के अध्वर्यु डॉक्टर संपदानंद मिश्र जी, और इस सत्र में उपस्थित श्रोता के रूप में आप सब विद्वज्जन विद्यार्थी, भारत सरकार के द्वारा स्वाधीनता के अमृत महोत्सव के उपलक्ष्य में बहुत सारे कार्यक्रम आयोजित किए जा रहे थे, और उसी क्रम में भारतीय दार्शनिक अनुसंधान परिषद को भी कुछ एक कार्यक्रम आयोजित करने थे। दर्शन जिस प्रकार से वैचारिक संपत्ति है, विचार की संपत्ति, और उसमें जब हम स्वतंत्रता की बात करते हैं, स्वाधीनता की बात करते हैं, तो यह स्वाधीनता, स्वतंत्रता सचमुच में वैचारिक स्वाधीनता, वैचारिक स्वतंत्रता से प्राप्त। कोई भी देश पहले अपने विचारों में स्वतंत्र होता है और उसके बाद वह स्वतंत्र होता है भौतिक रूप से। यदि ऐसा नहीं हुआ तो देश के स्वतंत्र हो जाने के उपरांत भी वह देश किन्हें न किसी रूप में परतंत्र ही रह जाता है। आज जब हम आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव की संकल्पना लेकर के इसको स्मरण कर रहे हैं, विचार कर रहे हैं कि हमारी स्वतंत्रता के 75 वर्ष बीत गए हैं, तो उसमें यह विचार करना अति आवश्यक है कि हम भौतिक स्वतंत्रता के साथ साथ जो मानसिक स्वतंत्रता है, उस स्वतंत्रता को किस सीमा तक प्राप्त कर सकते हैं। 20वीं शताब्दी के जो महत्वपूर्ण चिंतक रहे, उनमें एक केसी भट्टाचार्य बहुत माने हुए चिंतक हैं, और उनका एक बड़ा प्रसिद्ध आलेख है स्वराज इन आइडियाज, विचारों में स्वराज। क्योंकि हमारा स्वराज सबसे पहले विचारों में आना चाहिए। अगर हम भौतिक रूप से स्वतंत्र हो गए लेकिन वैचारिक रूप से हम पश्चिम के गुलाम ही बने रहे, जिसकी तरफ हमारी जो चिंतन पद्धति है, हमारी जो वैचारिक पद्धति है, उन सब में अगर हमारा सोचना उसी तरह से बना रहा, अगर हमारी जो परंपरा है, हमारे जो पारंपरिक ज्ञान है, हमारे जो पारंपरिक विधाएं हैं, उन विधाओं के प्रति कोई आदर की दृष्टि नहीं आई, उन विधाओं को पुनः स्थापित करने के लिए अगर हमने कोई प्रयास नहीं किया, तो ऐसी स्थिति में स्वतंत्र होने के बाद भी सचमुच में हम गुलाम ही रह जाएंगे। महात्मा गांधी ने जब हिंद स्वराज लिखा था, उस हिंद स्वराज में इसी बात को रेखांकित किया था। एक छोटी सी किताब इसी तरफ संकेत कर रही थी कि देश को, भारत को अगर स्वतंत्र होना है तो किस प्रकार से स्वतंत्र। हम दो चीजें आज मना रहे हैं, स्वतंत्रता के अमृत महोत्सव, आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव के उपलक्ष्य के साथ साथ श्री अरविंदो के 150 वर्ष पूरे हुए हैं, उसको भी हम स्मरण कर रहे हैं। अरविंदो के जो विचार हैं, किस प्रकार से सारा लेखन अंग्रेजी में होते हुए भी गीता के ऊपर, वेदों के ऊपर, सावित्री के माध्यम से महाभारत को लेकर वे अपने विचारों को रखते हैं। किस प्रकार से उन्होंने भारतीय मनीषा, भारतीय चिंतन पद्धति, भारतीय चिंतन धारा को पुनः प्रतिष्ठापित करने का प्रयास किया, उसको आंकने का एक अच्छा अवसर हमारे सामने है। और इस क्रम में यह एक 10 व्याख्यानों की एक श्रृंखला भारतीय दार्शनिक अनुसंधान परिषद के द्वारा संपदानंद मिश्र जी के नेतृत्व में आयोजित की जा रही है। इसके अलावा और भी कई कार्यक्रम भारतीय दार्शनिक अनुसंधान परिषद के द्वारा आयोजित किए जाने हैं। आगे क्रम में संगोष्ठियां भी आयोजित की जानी है और यह भारतीय दार्शनिक अनुसंधान परिषद का एक मूल है कि वह जो भारतीय प्रज्ञा है उस प्रज्ञा को किस प्रकार से प्रतिष्ठित किया जाए और उस प्रज्ञा को, उस विचार परंपरा के आलोक में जो ज्ञान की अन्य विधाएं हैं उन अन्य विधाओं को भी किस प्रकार से परिमार्जित और परिष्कृत किया जाए। निश्चित तौर पे इन व्याख्यानों के क्रम में हमको एक नई दृष्टि प्राप्त होगी। बहुत अधिक समय नहीं लेते हुए, क्योंकि हमारे बाद आदरणीय श्रीमती मंत्री जी का भी व्याख्यान है और मुख्य वक्ता जो आज के हैं उनका भी व्याख्यान है। मैं अपनी वाणी को यहीं पर विराम देता हूँ।
Thank you so much, sir, for highlighting the importance of achieving the independence of thought and mind in order to have a true sense of independence. And you explained this idea by taking example of K.C. Bhattacharya's Swaraj in Ideas as well as Mahatma Gandhi's hymn Swaraj. You also highlighted how Sri Aurobindo endeavored to bring back the glory back to our nation. So thank you so much again, sir. And now I would like to request our chief guest for the event, Honorable Minister of State for Culture and External Affairs, Meenakshi Lekhi, to address us. Welcome, ma'am.
Very much, आदरणीय श्री सचिदानंद मिश्रा जी, श्री डॉक्टर माकंद परंजपे जी, श्री राजेश मिश्रा जी, शशिबाला जी एंड संपदानंद मिश्रा जी, उपस्थित मेरे सभी भाई बहन, आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव, तिरंगा, और मैंने आपकी पेंसिल जो है वो बगल में माकन जी के पास पड़ी थी भगवा रंग की, तो मेरे फोल्डर में ग्रीन थी, तो मैंने वो भगवा वाली भी उठा ली और कहा कि भाई ये मुझे चाहिए, आई होप यू डोंट माइंड इट, आई एम गोइंग टू स्टील योर पेंसिल आफ्टर इन्फॉर्मिंग यू। That is what this color does to us, and that is what Tiranga does to us. We all want to possess it. We all want to get colored in it. We all want to put it all over. I saw her sari and I was so enthralled. I think, you know, maybe I should have also done something more interesting than I have done. But the fact is, तिरंगे का जो असर है वो हम सब पर इतना गहरा है कि उस रंग में हम सब अंदर तक लिपटे हुए हैं। लेकिन आज सुबह से मैं बचपन की कुछ चीजें याद कर रही थी। कुछ लोग मेरी उम्र के हैं तो उनको शायद कुछ समझ आएगा, कुछ लोग कम उम्र वाले हैं उनको शायद ये पल्ले नहीं पड़ेगा, इसलिए कहानी बतानी जरूरी है। और वो कहानी है कि कॉलेज खत्म किया तो 19 साल की उम्र में तो कॉलेज खत्म हो जाता था और रोविंग माइक्रोफोन करके ऑल इंडिया रेडियो पर एक कार्यक्रम चला करता था जिसके 50 रुपए मिलते थे हमको, और एक बड़ा सा टेप रिकॉर्डर भारी भरकम कंधे पे टांग कर आपको इंटरव्यू करना होता था। तो हमने एक बार इंटरव्यू तय किया लेफ्टिनेंट गवर्नर ऑफ दिल्ली के साथ। एक दोस्त थी, उनके पिताजी उस समय गृह सचिव थे, तो उनकी मदद से वो इंटरव्यू सेटअप हुआ। बच्चे कैसे फैसिनेट होते हैं चीजों से, तो उस समय उनकी टेबल के ऊपर हमने तिरंगा रखा हुआ देखा, तो मन ऐसा कि उठा ले अपनी टेबल पे भी जाके चिपका दे, पर मालूम था उतनी उम्र तक कि ये गैर कानूनी है, तिरंगा हर कोई अपनी टेबल पे नहीं रख सकता और बहुत बड़ा आदमी होना होता है जिसको तिरंगा रख सकता है। और जो कप प्लेट थे उसके ऊपर नेशनल एम्बलम एनग्रेव था। आज नेशनल एम्बलम हम सबको उपहार के तौर पर मिला है। तो ये बदलाव जो भारत में आया, मैं कोई बहुत पुरानी बात नहीं कर रही हूँ, मतलब है उम्र मेरी आप सब लोगों से ज्यादा, लेकिन फिर भी 30 साल के भीतर, 30-35 साल के अंदर ये बदलाव देश में आया है, जो कि मेरी अपनी जीवन के देखा हुआ पक्ष है। तो वो तिरंगा जो हम सबके अंदर तक समाहित है, हम स्कूल में, कॉलेज में बच्चा पैदा होने से लेकर बाद तक उसको तिरंगे की आन बान शान के बारे में समझाते हैं। हम उसके मन में, मस्तिष्क में ये भरते हैं कि तिरंगा ही हम सबका सबसे बड़ा सिंबल है और उसकी वही हमारी एकता अखंडता का प्रतीक है। एक प्रतीक के रूप में वो हमारा ईश्वर है। लेकिन उस ईश्वर को हम ना अपना पाए, वो भी आजाद भारत में, तो सोचिए क्या तकलीफ रही इस देश की, किस तरीके की नेगेटिविटी इस देश में पैदा की गई कि तिरंगा जो हर व्यक्ति के मन और मस्तिष्क की जान है, उसको हम नहीं समाहित कर सकते। और जब श्री अरबिंदो को मैं याद करती हूँ तो मुझे याद है स्कूल की ही बात, एक छोटी सी बुक होती थी मदर करके, इतनी पॉकेट बुक टाइप, वो प्रेयर्स, तो वो बहुत लंबी चौड़ी प्रेयर नहीं, पर वो इतना सा 5 लाइन 4 लाइन ऐसे पलट के रोज सुबह एक प्रेयर कहना है। वो भी संस्कार के रूप में हम सब बच्चों को पास रहती थी। तो संस्कार तो थे, मगर संस्कार को व्यक्त करने का जो माध्यम था वो नहीं रहा। और उस संस्कार को व्यक्त करने का काम जो है वो मुझे लगता है भारत के प्रधानमंत्री माननीय मोदी जी ने हम सबको वो व्यक्त करने की एक आस्था और अवस्था प्रदान की। और वो आस्था अवस्था शुरू हुई 12 मार्च 2021 को, जब 75 हफ्ते बचते थे आजादी का दिन 15 अगस्त से लेकर 75 वीक्स बिफोर that let us celebrate आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव, the nectar of independence. And nectar of independence means celebrating all that is positive, good, and makes us proud about our heritage. And thus, Aurobindo's reflections I can see in everything, because Sri Aurobindo took the discussion about Azadi at that time from the elite drawing rooms to the streets. That's what his movement was all about. And this is precisely what Prime Minister is trying to do. Not letting Tiranga being unfurled by a few elites, not making it just a honorary task which is reserved for some, but every individual, every citizen of this country who's connected to Tiranga to feel, I mean, I'm sure we all feel, but have the ambition to exhibit the same patriotism. There is no difference between you, me, and others. We are all just the same. That's what Prime Minister is trying to do. जो प्रधानमंत्री जी ने प्रयास किया, वो प्रयास यही था कि आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव को केवल कुछ हाथों में, कुछ लोगों के बीच नहीं, बल्कि जन भागीदारी का माध्यम बने। और जन भागीदारी के माध्यम से हम एक हर घर तिरंगा, हर एक घर पर तिरंगा का मतलब है उस परिवार के हर व्यक्ति को जो गर्व महसूस होता है वो गर्व महसूस हो, और उसके रास्ते में आने वाली जो इम्पेडिमेंट्स है वो इम्पेडिमेंट्स को हटाया जाए। आप सोचिए, कानूनी रूप से मैं बच्चा थी उस समय, लेकिन उस बच्चे के मन में भी था कि काश ये टेबल से फ्लैग उठा के मैं ले जाऊं और अपनी टेबल पे जाके सजा दूं। अब आप यहाँ बैठे जो मेरी उम्र के लोग हैं, हाथ खड़ा करके बताओ आप में से कितनों के मन में ये बात आती थी? सभी थे, सभी मेरे जैसे थे या मैं सब जैसी थी? We are all just the same. We all wanted to do it, could not do it. Imagine the pain this country has gone through. और वही तिरंगा जिसको लेकर इतने सारे वीर वीरांगनाएं शहीद हो गए, मां तंगिनी हजारा बुजुर्ग महिला हाथ में झंडा लेके गोली खाने के बाद चलती रही और शहीद हुई, छोटे बच्चे हाथ में तिरंगा लेके चलते रहे और शहीद हुए। वो तिरंगा जिसके ऊपर अनेकों कुर्बानियां गईं, लेकिन वो तिरंगा भारत के आजाद होने के बाद भारत का आम नागरिक नहीं लहरा सकता, नहीं फहरा सकता। और आज वो मौका आजादी के अमृत महोत्सव ने हमें दिया कि हम तिरंगा लहरा भी सकते हैं, फहरा भी सकते हैं और चेहरे पे भी लगा सकते हैं, और जो चाहे अदब के साथ, इज्जत के साथ वो कर सकते हैं। ऋषिहुड यूनिवर्सिटी को मैं धन्यवाद देना चाहती हूँ ये पटका देने के लिए, क्योंकि मुझे लगता है कि सही मायने में श्री अरबिंदो जैसे जितने हमारे हीरोज हैं आजादी के, ये उनको असली मायने में श्रद्धांजलि है। और उन्हीं को समर्पण के भाव से जब हम तिरंगे को देखते हैं तो वही समर्पण का भाव हम सबके मन में भी आता है। अब सब लोग श्री अरबिंदो नहीं बन सकते, सब लोग भगत सिंह भी नहीं बन सकते, सब लोग बंदूक उठा के AK-47 वाले टेररिस्ट का मुकाबला भी नहीं कर सकते, लेकिन श्रद्धा भाव तिरंगे के प्रति तो हम सबका एक ही है। लेकिन उसी समर्पण के भाव से क्या हम अपनी रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी में देश के लिए जी सकते हैं? Whatever we are doing, we dedicate all that to the country's well-being. We dedicate all that to the divinity which has shown us the right path. And I think Sri Aurobindo, when little bit that I know of him, I don't claim to be a scholar. I'm sitting in the company of scholars and I'm very scared of making any wrong statement. But nevertheless, I'll give my analysis. And my analysis would be that when I look at Sri Aurobindo, I feel how many young kids would be here who will say, इतने सारे ये लोग IAS बैठे हुए हैं, कितने सारे लोग सिविल सर्विसेज ज्वाइन करना चाहते हैं, बहुत लोग, कम से कम घर में तो कहा ही जाता है कि सिविल सर्विसेज ज्वाइन करो, बोला जाता है, बोला जाता है या नहीं? हाथ खड़ा करें बच्चे, please raise your hands because I think I know life. Yeah, it is said that join the civil services. Now here was one person who studied in England, who got into civil services, purposely did not give a writing test so that he gets out, exits out. मतलब वही बात है कि मेंस पास कर लिया, इंटरव्यू के लिए पहुंचे ही नहीं, गए नहीं, इसलिए नहीं कि पास नहीं कर सकते थे, जाना ही नहीं था, गए तो खाली टेस्ट कर रहे थे कि पास कर सकता हूं नहीं कर सकता। ऐसे व्यक्ति जिन्होंने सिविल सर्विसेज उस जमाने में ज्वाइन किया और ठुकरा दिया, लंदन इंग्लैंड पढ़े हैं, उसका मतलब ठीक ठाक उस जमाने में अमीर परिवार के बच्चे होंगे, coming from privileged background, but the moment he comes back to India, he drowns himself as a revolutionary, as a person who was a fiery freedom fighter. And I'm purposely using the word fiery. He was not ordinary freedom fighter. He was a fiery, lit up all the time, self-illuminating figure, both symbolically, literally, and philosophically. A fiery freedom fighter who transmutated himself as an ascetic. So nothing was about person, nothing was about my comfort, my life. Going back to the scriptures. So when the scriptures say, Gita, we've all read, little bit less more, we've all done those chapters. And I must thank Bhartiya Vidya Bhavan. आपके यहाँ हमारे बचपन में कंपटीशन हुआ करता था गीता के श्लोक का, तो थोड़ा बहुत हमने भी याद किया था, तो जो उस समय याद किया था वो अब तक याद है। इसलिए बच्चों को सही संस्कार मिलना आवश्यक है। तो आपके यहाँ एक डिबेट होती थी, अंग्रेजी की डिबेट होती थी और एक गीता का कंपटीशन होता था। I have participated in both at one time or the other. And I remember one shlok which says, Nainam chindanti shastrani, nainam dahati pavaka, na chinam kalidyantapo, na shurshati maruta. And this is not just about soul. Think of it even from a scientific perspective. The perspective, if we all rise from the soil, we all become one with the soil. We are all bodies made of some carbon, hydrogen, oxygen, organic material, and then we convert back into that. So H2O plus C6H5, whatever else, and calcium to whatever little minerals, and we are going to go back. So ये देख के बारे में तो बहुत ज़्यादा सोचने की ज़रूरत नहीं है. The limited time that we have when we use this body as a vehicle of knowledge and use that knowledge for general good, for public good, that will be the divinity within us. And thus, I think Sri Aurobindo was one person who connected humanity, a human life, with divinity. And from that perspective, he saw the entire philosophy. The entire existence was viewed from this lens, where he started visualizing things, that there is life above the normal day-to-day existence. We all have a purpose of living, and that purpose of living is for the public good. And of course, when you say the public good, it's about national good. It's in the service of the nation, and motivated so many people to combine the effects of divinity with nationalism and patriotism. So nationalism, patriotism, and divinity were not two verticals. It was the same vertical with two branches and support the entire Mahabharati. And thus, in his writings, he would normally use Maish, Mardini, Mahabharati, Mother India. Those were his writings because he saw, he viewed. I mean, we've learned it otherwise कि भारत कोई धरती का टुकड़ा नहीं बल्कि एक जीता जागता योग पुरुष है. But he saw this from the perspective of Shakti, from the divinity and Mother Goddess. Now, so many people constantly talk about gender in our time frame. But here are fiery men who bow before Shakti. In their imagination, Shakti is who they worship, and those are the traditions of India. And reaching those traditions, celebrating those traditions, is what Amrit Mahotsav is all about. Amrit Mahotsav is about celebrating ascetics and sadhus and rishis like Sri Aurobindo. And I want to quote here that some other great men, how they describe Sri Aurobindo. So if we go back, Dr. Radhakrishnan. So Radhakrishnan ji said that the most accomplished of modern Indian thinkers, and I don't think there are two views to that, most accomplished modern Indian thinkers, because you needed somebody to awaken all of us at that point in time when we had lost confidence, when we could not think that we can actually get up and realize the dream of free India. We needed someone to put that force behind that thought, and it was Sri Aurobindo who did that. And I'm not getting into all the underground movements which he started in Calcutta. So thought has to have an action also. With thought, actions. So and I'm relating it now to Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, because what is Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav? Ideas at 75. Sri Aurobindo had ideas what he wanted, that is the idea of freedom. Resolves at 75. Of course, Sri Aurobindo had the resolve that I'm going to free Mahabharati, and I'm going to instill that character in these lazy people who are not even getting up and who are not even willing to fight. Resolves. Actions at 75. So all those committees which he set up, all the underground movement he set up was part of action, and creating that integral yoga, because everything is coming out of our brains, ideas to control over our physical existence, to the way we have to have the physical energy to deal with things. So integral yoga was part of that. Actions at 75. So actions at 75 would be Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, plastic free India, and gender equality, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, equal participation, justice for all, having a woman that too from deprived communities and tribes who had been left out of the mainstream progress to become the President of India. All these are actions, and these actions are oriented to make a just society. These actions are meant to take India forward and progressive ideas, achieving the goals. Now here, I feel Aurobindo's goal of free India was achieved. But what kind of society he dreamt of, what kind of India did he want? Have we achieved that? Tell me honestly, have we achieved that? Answer is no. So we needed someone at the helm of affairs like Mr. Modi as the Prime Minister of this country, who could instill those ideas back in us, who could tell us, look, we are at 75. We need to take stock of situation. We need to understand where we are going, and we need to take country forward as was thought about by our heroes. Those who sacrificed everything for the freedom of this country. For our future, they sacrificed their present. And are we doing enough to achieve those dreams? And that's where Lakshya Prapti, achievements, वो सब अभी पीछे है. और इसीलिए 75वें वर्ष में हमको तय करना है कि 100वें वर्ष में कहाँ पहुंचना है. और 100वें वर्ष में जहां पहुंचना है, जहां श्री अरविंदो के सपनों को हम पूरा कर सके, जहां हम आजादी के मतवालों के सपनों को पूरा कर सके, जहां हम जिन्होंने सर्वस्व इस देश के लिए न्यौछावर किया उनको याद करके उनको श्रद्धांजलि दे सके, तो वो काम अभी बाकी है. That's why आजादी का अमृत महोत्सव. Please take stock. Be proud of what you have, but at the same time, that pride is not good enough unless you act and get inspired to live by those ideals. We need not sacrifice our life the way these people did, all the hardship they underwent, but we can learn to live and do the right things for the well-being of this nation. And that's what Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav is all about. And thus I remember how Sri Aurobindo at that point in time, when he's speaking to divinity, when he's asking Mother India, Mother Goddess, to give those powers and awaken the soul within every Indian to rise up. I'm sure something remarkable must have happened when millions and millions of people hit the roads. Something remarkable must have happened across society. And that's the spirit we need to enlighten again ourselves. And that's the spirit we need to generate within ourselves so that 75th year becomes a year when we rise up and in the history of India, people of India take charge with those yogic practices, that awakening that I choose to live for my country and do everything possible to live up to the dreams for which unsung heroes, the heroes of this country sacrificed all. And again, Swadeshi was spoken about by Sri Sachidananda. And so, of course, Swadeshi has had a history. But in 2020, I remember how Mr. Modi also talked about the same. In one of his radio programs, Man Ki Baat, he spoke about the same issue, and he said, uh, when from things like needle and matchsticks are also going to come from on a ship, what kind of country are we building? So this is taking a quote from Sri Aurobindo's Swadeshi movement and making it vocal for local movement. So vocal for local is nothing but a leaf from the book, the philosophy, the thought of Sri Aurobindo also. That when he's talking about Swadeshi, how that Swadeshi gets implemented in today's time and age. In today's time and age, Swadeshi gets implemented in the form of vocal for local, and same Swadeshi gets implemented further in the form of Atmanirbhar Bharat. So the history of India, which is a history of resilience. History of India is a history of resistance. Shashibala ji was speaking about 1,000 years of exploitation and all. I would go a little deeper than that, and I would say it's not 1,000 years of exploitation, but 1,000 years of neglect on our part also. Of course, it was exploitation. If I'm going to behave in a certain way, I get exploited. It should be a learning for us also. Are we learning enough? Have we learned enough? Let's take stock of it. We got comfortable with our lives. We became selfish in our existence. We were too good. And I always say this, I said if India was such a rotten place, why was everyone coming? How are we working as a magnet for all the world? The fact so many people from cross cultures were traveling to India, wanting to control India, wanting everything from here means we were a country of knowledge and we were a country of prosperity. We were a country of skilled people. So knowledge, skill, all that we had. Then also, we got controlled. A handful of people controlled us. Something must have been wrong. And are we falling in the same trap? Time to think. Have we taken our independence for granted? That's my question. Have we become less responsible so far as our independent thought is concerned? Independence is one thought, but alongside, we have to learn to be responsible. And I usually say this, by Gulab, and I remember this as a young kid, I don't know why, coming here, I'm remembering all my past memories of debates and things are coming back to me. So I remember long back, I must have been pretty young that time, and there was this debate, India experimented with nuclear energy. And my final take on this whole thing was कि भाई कि गुलाब का फूल है तो अहिंसा परमो धर्म है और क्योंकि वो गुलाब का फूल रहना चाहिए तो मैंने कहा भाई गुलाब के फूल के साथ कांटा होता है या नहीं प्रोटेक्शन के लिए तो अगर गुलाब के साथ कांटा होता है उस फूल को फूल बनाए रखने के लिए भी तो हमको जो कुछ डिफेंस में करना जरूरी है वो करना जरूरी है अपने डिफेंस वीक रखेंगे तो फूल तो कोई भी तोड़ के ले जाए चबा के चला जाए तो इसलिए इस सारी लर्निंग का भी एक इतिहास है we also need to learn from the drawbacks and maybe this is the time to take stock of things maybe this is the time to understand that this was a country which did great work when it came to martial arts. We were the ones who taught martial arts to the world. We were the ones who were physically strong people. And we just give up all that. For what? Maybe it's time to rethink the policy. Maybe it's time that, and that's what again, I'm coming back to Aurobindo for the same thing. Sri Aurobindo said this. That you want a fit mind very well, you need your vichar, thoughts in the right direction. But you have to be physically strong to achieve that. You need to do yoga to remain fit. This body is a vehicle to carry your soul and ideas and ideology. So you can't take away the physical existence from your emotional and intellectual existence. And if you want to win over any people, civilization, society, all you need to do is take away their pride. The moment you take away the pride, the moment you've told them, taken away the confidence, you've subjugated the generations. And that's precisely what happened with us. We did not succumb to it. It happened with us. One lot of us cringed, but did not get subsumed. And we did not get subsumed, and thus we had people like K. Munshi, we had Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan, and we had so on and so forth, and we had the ashram in Pondicherry. Because we cringed, but we never got subsumed. We are a story of resilience, and that resilience needs to bring back all the ideas at 75. Let's make all the resolves at 75, put them into action, achieve the goals for which our freedom fighters sacrificed everything, and achieve the goals while celebrating our freedom movement. All these heroes. And when people say, Devi Azadi Hame Bina Khadak Bina Dhal, I am not one who's for this thought. Because Gandhiji's importance cannot be undermined. For those times, he brought all of us together, he unified us. He changed the society. He impacted untouchability, so on and so forth. Many things he corrected. Swadeshi he led from the front. He was a self-effacing, self-sacrificing man. All that is given. But this country lost 2 million lives and above in partition, which happened on 14th August 1947. Highest number of people killed as a genocide on that day. This country lost 26,000 people as IIAS soldiers, whose names have been taken away. This country gave birth to many rebellious movements where women equally participated. Women like Neera Arya, whose breast had been taken off by the British. And that story is never told to us. She died an impoverished death in Hyderabad in 70s, 1973 or something, which nobody knew of. There are many such stories. I think India needs to relearn its history and get inspired to do better and better for future generations. We have the philosophy, we have the strength, and we can do it only if we walk the path as set up by greats like Sri Aurobindo and others who sacrificed everything for the well-being of this nation. With these words, जो अमृत महोत्सव चल रहा है और हर घर तिरंगा चल रहा है, उसको हम अपनी प्रेरणा बनाएं, संकल्पित हो और सिद्धि तक पहुंचने के लिए रास्ता चुने। संकल्प से सिद्धि का रास्ता संस्कारों के माध्यम से होकर जाता है और तिरंगा उत्सव को अपना एक संस्कार उत्सव बनाकर आगे बढ़े। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ आप सबका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।
Thank you so much, ma'am, for singing to us the glory of our tricolor. Now our beloved Prime Minister has connected everybody with him. You pointed out the importance of Swadeshi and how India is gradually changing and moving towards excellence. And you also highlighted Sri Aurobindo's contribution in bringing about this change. So now moving forward, before we move forward, I would like to point out briefly the words which we are carrying out as Center for Human Sciences. We have a year-long course based on Sri Aurobindo's philosophy, his life, his philosophy on politics, his philosophy on Upanishads, his translations of Upanishads, the Vedas. So you can subscribe to all the 12 modules. The module, there are 12 modules divided into 120 hours of lectures. So you can subscribe it on our website and listen to the lectures. We also have a webinar series called Vachariki, and it is being done in participation with a YouTube channel called Sangam Talks, where we have a keynote address. The layout is such that we have a 1 hour long keynote address by a speaker, followed by a panel discussion between various participants. Then we had a conference in participation with the IIAS on Sri Aurobindo. We also had a national seminar on Sri Aurobindo's Life Divine in association with ICPR. We are currently involved in IIAS project on Avadhan Kala, where we are researching about the ancient Vedic discipline of concentration. And presently we have this 10 lecture series of 10 lectures where we will be understanding about the philosophy of Sri Aurobindo regarding culture and nationalism. So moving forward, I would like to invite Dr. Makarand Paranjape ji to speak to us on Sri Aurobindo's idea of Swaraj towards a new India. Okay, ma'am. So, Dr. Makarand Paranjape ji, welcome, sir.
Dr. Sachidananda Mishra ji, Dr. Shashibala ji, friend Sampath bhai. It's a great honor and a privilege for me to inaugurate this series of lectures, which commemorates not just India at 75, but also Sri Aurobindo at 150. In my view, this is a never before, never after conjuncture. It will, I think, give us an opportunity, those of us who are interested, to reflect deeply on the meaning not only of our independence, but also on Sri Aurobindo's immense contribution to modern life, to modern civilization, to the future of the human race itself. So I feel very grateful for this opportunity. And to my young friends who are not sure why they're still sitting here, what I want to say to you is that we sometimes feel that we are doing these things for India or Sri Aurobindo, but once you go into it a little deeply, you will discover that this is an opportunity for us actually to grow and to fulfill our own potential as human beings. At least to me, that is how I look at these opportunities. Not just to share one's thoughts, but really to deepen one's own understanding of India and of the work of Sri Aurobindo. So with these words, I just wanted to once again thank Sampadananda for this initiative and thank ICPR for organizing this lecture series. We talk about Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and it seems to me that even this phrase Amrit is actually from Sri Aurobindo. And I can give you the quotation because he says in his talk he gave in Nashik, he says that, and this was a talk he gave on the 24th of January in 1908, which was 2 years actually before Gandhiji wrote in Swaraj, when the SS Kildonan passed from Southampton to South Africa. Sri Aurobindo made a speech in Nashik, Maharashtra. It's not very well known or famous speech, and in fact, we would have known of it had it not been for the CID. Somebody from the CID was present and made notes on the speech, and then it was reported in a newspaper in Marathi the following day. But it is in the collected works of Sri Aurobindo, the complete works of Sri Aurobindo. So he says, it was, as I said, reported in the Nashik Vrtta in the next morning. So he says, if we do not acquaint ourselves with the object in view, viz. Swaraj, I'm afraid we 30 crores of people will become extinct. Swaraj is life. It is nectar and salvation. So that nectar, Amrit, I think comes from this speech. Maybe it's unintentional. We don't know where they got it from. But I found that in 1908, Sri Aurobindo had used nectar as a description for Swaraj. Swaraj in a nation is the breath of life. Without breath of life, a man is dead. So also without Swaraj, a nation is dead. Swaraj being the life of a nation, it is essential for it. What I want to do today is I've actually prepared a small write-up, and I can read it. It will only take a few minutes, maybe at the most 10 minutes. Then we can simply have a discussion around it, if you like. Is that all right? Is that a good plan? Because I think we've already exceeded, we're supposed to end at 5:30. It's already 5:30. Yeah? No, I don't want to keep people for too long. So it's a very short talk that I have prepared on Sri Aurobindo's idea of Swaraj. So let me just do that. Then I will elaborate on it with a few, other ideas. So I'm calling it Bhavani Mandir Revisited because Sri Aurobindo wrote a very interesting pamphlet called Bhavani Mandir in 1905 when he was working for the Maharaja of Baroda. Before his nationalist phase actually began in earnest, when he became the inaugural principal of the National College in Kolkata, which then became, of course, Jadavpur University. Sri Aurobindo elaborates on the meaning of Swaraj in this speech. He says, if we do not acquaint ourselves with the object in view, which is Swaraj, I'm afraid we 30 crores of people will become extinct. Swaraj is life, it is nectar and salvation. Swaraj in a nation is the breath of life. Without breath, a man is dead. So without Swaraj, a nation is dead. Swaraj being the life of a nation, it is essential for it. But the roots of Sri Aurobindo's experiments and ideas for freeing India go back much farther, even to his days as a Cambridge undergraduate. So he was part of a secret society called the Lotus and the Dagger, and he attended its first meeting in 1893. So he was born in 1872. So in 1893, he was only 21 years of age. He was doing the classical tripod at Cambridge, and he attended the secret society. And of course, the secret society never met a second time. So it was an abortive attempt. But much later, when I talk about the speech he gave in Nashik, Sri Aurobindo was associated with two secret societies, the Anushilan Samiti and Juganta. And his own brother, Bharindra, was learning how to make bombs. Anyhow, so the next kind of vignette, the point I'm trying to make is way back in 1893, Sri Aurobindo already had resolved that India should be free and that it should have complete independence from the British. Why is this important? Let's not forget that the Congress came up with their Purna Swaraj resolution on the 29th of December in 1929 in the Lahore session. So think about Sri Aurobindo talking about Purna Swaraj in 1907, but also thinking about it way back in 1893. When he was in the Maharaja of Baroda's service, he was involved in some experiments, and one of them was a séance. Okay? So what happens in a séance? You are supposed to communicate with people who are dead, who are on the other side. And the medium of the séance was his own brother Bharindra. And he received an intriguing message. Who is Sri Ramakrishna? Yes, you know at the back, last row. Who is Sri Ramakrishna? Yeah, one of you can ask. Yes, who is he? Very good. Thank you. Thank you. So imagine Sri Aurobindo trying to communicate with the dead spirit of Sri Ramakrishna through a séance, okay? And his brother himself was the medium. What is the message he got? He got only two words, Mandir Gado, make a temple. What does it mean? It's an intriguing message. And Sri Aurobindo interpreted it as a commandment to propagate a new revolutionary creed based on the consecration of a temple to Mother India. This would not be a physical temple, as much as a nationwide movement in which Mother India was invoked as Bharat Shakti. Who is it that first talked about Mother India? And there's the famous song that we all know. Who is it that talked about that? The nation as a goddess. I'll ask somebody else in the last row. Yes. No idea. You don't know Bande Mataram? Who wrote Bande Mataram? Bankim. So he wrote it as an independent song, but it was also part of Anandamat, which was the novel. And Sri Aurobindo was very influenced by Bankim. In fact, in Indu Prakash in 1894, after he came back from England, he wrote a series of essays called Rishi Bankim, because it was Bankim who conceptualized the nation as a goddess. So it is a Sanatan Parampara that you can create goddesses, okay? Just as gods and goddesses create you. Many times in Delhi, it's very difficult to find parking. So you can have a parking goddess. So you pray to the parking goddess and maybe you'll get a parking slot. Or you can pray to the examination goddess. Okay, you can try. Anyhow, so it is Bankim who created a goddess and called Mother India, as it were. And then you have this beautiful song, Bande Mataram, which is homage to the mother. Okay, and Sri Aurobindo builds on it, and he talks about Bharat Shakti. And he wrote a pamphlet called Bhavani Mandir. How do we know he wrote the pamphlet? Because when he was arrested in the Alipur bomb trial, this was a part of the evidence, this pamphlet called Bhavani Mandir. But it was signed by Bharindra. It was Bharindra's brother's signature on it. And on the cover. But here is what he says in Bhavani Mandir. He says, we in India fail in all things for want of Shakti. So this is true even today. Wherever we fail, it's because we lack Shakti, we lack power, we lack energy, we lack the will to succeed. Okay? He says, we have all things else, but we are empty of strength, void of energy. We have abandoned Shakti and are therefore abandoned by Shakti. The consequences of such weakness are disastrous. That's the heading of another section of hers. Okay, so this is important for all of us who are in the intellectual field. Sri Aurobindo says our knowledge is a dead thing for want of Shakti. So all of us who spent all our time as teachers or students, we have to reflect on this. We want to be a Vishwa Guru, but we are in a state of terrible intellectual decline in India. Okay, we don't produce new ideas, we repeat old ideas, and we don't respect the life of the mind. We respect power, we respect money, we respect other such things. We don't respect the intellect, we may call our university Rishihood, but are we really going to produce rishis? Maybe Sampath Bhai will, but I don't know. But as a country, we don't respect knowledge, we don't respect the intellect. And this is something that Sri Aurobindo talked about 115 years ago. And for us, knowledge is only instrumental. You pass an exam, whether it's the NET or the central CUET or the IIAS. Knowledge is instrumental. You pass an exam, you get a job. That's all knowledge is for. We don't love knowledge for the sake of knowledge, as the ancient Indians did. That's why we were at the forefront of knowledge. And today we're really at the back. There is no Indian university which is in the top 100 in the world, according to the QS rankings. Okay, not a single one. And IISc and the others, some of the IITs, are not in the first 100. So it's something for us to think about. And Sri Aurobindo says our knowledge is a dead thing for want of Shakti. And then he says that our knowledge is inadequate and cannot save us. Why? Because, and I'm quoting him, it is a dead knowledge, a burden under which we are bound, a poison which is corroding us, rather than as it should be a staff to support our feet and a weapon in our hands. Why is he saying that? Why is he so harsh? And his answer is, again I'm quoting him, our knowledge then is weighed down with a heavy load of tamas. Okay? It lies under the curse of impotence and inertia. It's for you to think about how true it is today. It is Swami Vivekananda who said that in India, sattva is actually tamas masquerading as something to think about. What you really need is rajas. And Vivekananda said, go and play football, don't read the Gita. Build up some muscle. Then Sri Aurobindo comes to something that we Indians are very easy and very prone to do, which is devotion. Whoever it is, we'll pedestalize it. Okay? Whether it's our Prime Minister or Sri Aurobindo. We are great devotees, but our devotion is not sincere. Because in our hearts, we don't feel the devotion. We just do it. Okay? Whether it's also for the Tiranga. It's for you to think about. And why is he saying, what is Sri Aurobindo saying? If India has been a knowledge society for millennia, we are also not lacking in bhakti or devotion. But, and I'm quoting Sri Aurobindo, our bhakti cannot live and work for want of Shakti. So our bhakti or devotion is also weak. Without strength, even devotion is useless. And Sri Aurobindo says, in the absence of Shakti, we cannot concentrate, we cannot direct, we cannot even preserve it. Dharana, in the Yoga Sutra, then Dhyana, then Samadhi. We can't concentrate. Isn't it true? Today, we are always on our phone, and you try to read a book, and in 30 seconds, your mind is wandering off. And my own students tell me sometimes, don't give us fat books to read. Okay? Give us only summaries. So we are not able to concentrate. And this is what Sri Aurobindo says. But the good news is, what he's saying is no man or nation need be weak unless he chooses. No man or nation need perish unless he deliberately chooses extinction. And luckily for us, I think we are free today thanks to people like Sri Aurobindo and many other freedom fighters that we heard about. But do we deserve this freedom? What are we doing to make our country, our civilization, and our incomplete renaissance, What are we doing to finish it? What are we doing to make our country great today? So what Sri Aurobindo says is that the cultivation and exaltation of strength is the crying want of Indians. And that was the motto of Bhavani Mandir, an idea that harkens back to Swami Vivekananda's injunction. He says, strength and manliness are virtue, weakness and cowardice are sin. And he also says, this is Swami Vivekananda, this is a great fact. Strength is life, weakness is death. Strength is felicity, life eternal, immortal. Weakness is constant strain and misery. Weakness is death. I already mentioned how Sri Aurobindo had elaborated his idea of Purna Swaraj, or complete political independence. He also did it in a two-part essay called The Doctrine of Passive Resistance. Okay? Because in 1906, in December, Dadabhai Navroji, when he gave the valedictory address to Congress in Kolkata, said that we want Swaraj. But nobody defined what Swaraj was. Even Gandhiji in his Swaraj translated it as Indian home rule. And for many years, they were negotiating whether it would be dominion status within the empire. Some juncture of India at 75 and Sri Aurobindo at 150. Is it an accident that India's independence is also Sri Aurobindo's birthday? Certainly, Sri Aurobindo did not think so. In an address that he gave to the All India Radio Trichinapalli, he says, 15th August is the birthday of free India. To me personally, it must be naturally gratifying that this date, which was notable only for me because it was my own birthday, celebrated annually by those who have accepted my gospel of life, should have acquired this vast significance. So I invite all of you to go to Sri Aurobindo's 5 Dreams. It's a great speech he gave on the eve of India's independence in 1947. He elaborates what his 5 dreams are. And one of them is, of course, India's independence. But he says this independence is truncated because India is still divided. I'm talking about K.M. Munshi, who founded the Bharatiya Vidya Bhavan in 1938. He was one of the few people who had the occasion to meet Sri Aurobindo in 1950. Sri Aurobindo left his body on the 5th of December 1950, and K.M. Munshi was the central minister then, cabinet minister. Went to Pondicherry with Morarjibhai Desai and had the privilege of meeting Sri Aurobindo. And Sri Aurobindo makes a prophecy that the partition of India is not a permanent thing. So you can read that record. It is in Nirod Baran's, record of Sri Aurobindo to the youth. That's the name of the book. You can take a look at it. But it's also very interesting that K. Munshi was a student of Sri Aurobindo in Baroda College, because Sri Aurobindo was the vice principal of Baroda College. If you go to Baroda, or Vadodara as it is called today, you must go to this building called Baroda College. It's a magnificent building with the second largest dome in India. Which is the largest dome in India? Anybody? No, as far as I know, that's not the correct answer. Anybody else? And it's not the Taj Mahal. Which is the largest dome in India? Yeah? No? Bijapur. Who said that? Thank you, sir. So this is the second largest dome of Baroda College. So go and see it. It's still a very inspiring place for Sri Aurobindo taught. But K.M. Munshi was born in, if I'm not mistaken, in 1888. So he's 15 years younger than Sri Aurobindo. Attended his class, and this is what he had to say about Sri Aurobindo. I want to read you a little passage of his reminiscences of Sri Aurobindo. He says, and I quote K.M. Munshi, I remember only one occasion when I directly talked to Professor Arvind Ghosh. How can nationalism be developed? He pointed to a wall map of India and said something to this effect. Look at that map. No map, but imagine a map of India. At that time, undivided India. Look at that map. Learn to find in it the portrait of Bharat Mata. The cities, mountains, rivers, and forests are the material which go to make up her body. The people inhabiting the country are the cells which go to make up her living tissues. Our literature is her memory and speech. The spirit of her culture is her soil. The happiness and freedom of her children is her salvation. Behold Bharat as the living mother. Meditate upon her and worship her in the ninefold way of bhakti. So I think this is a very profound statement for all of us today, because when he writes to his wife Mrinalini about his three madnesses, this is a letter of his on 30th August 1905, and he tells his wife that he is afflicted by three madnesses. He says one of his madnesses is this: while others look upon their country as an inert piece of matter, a few meadows and fields, forests and hills and rivers, look upon her as the mother. What would a son do if a demon sat on his mother's breast and started sucking her blood? Would he quietly sit down to his dinner, amuse himself with his wife and children, or would he rush out to deliver his mother? I know I have the strength to deliver this fallen race. It is not physical strength. I'm not going to fight with sword or gun, but it is the strength of knowledge. This feeling is not new in me. It is not of today. I was born with it. It is in my very marrow. Now, so this is a very interesting letter. I invite you to read it. But what Sri Aurobindo is saying is that it is knowledge which is going to save us. And he has that knowledge. What is that knowledge? I invite you to try and read Sri Aurobindo's works. And some people say it is the knowledge of the supermind, how the whole of humanity will be transformed and have higher consciousness. But even before we reach that far, it is certainly the knowledge of how to complete our unfinished Renaissance. And it is not by rejecting modernity or what the West has discovered. It is not by trying to return to some golden age in the past, or simply reconnecting with what we've lost. It is something much more complicated and much more difficult. It is really the assimilation of whatever is available in the world and making it your own through a process of hard work and engagement. So it is neither rejection nor imitation. It is neither subservience nor defiance. It is the third way. And Sri Aurobindo has a sense of his great mission, because if you read The Secret of the Veda, you will see how he comes up with a completely new hermeneutics, completely new way of reading the Veda. Because he says after Shankara, the understanding of the Veda got split into Karma Kanda, which was only being done for rituals, and the Vedanta, which Shankara said, was enough for your salvation, for soteriological purposes. And it is Sri Aurobindo who reunifies, the great knowledge of the Veda. But you should also see his only Sanskrit poem, Bhavani Bharati, 99 verses, which Sampadananda has recited, the incarnate word, where he starts with the same metaphor of a demon sucking the blood, of Mother India, and how the children of India must rise and save her from this horrible ogre, this creature. And of course, we paid a terrible price for independence, as the Minister of State just reminded us. I think the figures of 2 million are vastly exaggerated by the partition industry. But even so, whether it's 200,000 or 2 million, it was too high a price to pay. And this is where we can bring in K. Munshi, who resigned from the Congress because he did not agree with Gandhiji's idea of non-resistance to violence. Because Gandhiji said if the Muslims come and attack you during the partition riots, you should not resist them. With the result that Congress workers usually ran away, And K. Munshi wrote to Gandhiji, said, this is terrible. So Gandhiji said, you know, if you don't agree, you should resign from the Congress because the Congress is for non-violence. He Munshi resigned. And Gandhiji and he were still very good friends. In fact, he considered Gandhiji his guru. So it was a time when people disagreed with each other. And certainly Sri Aurobindo disagreed with Gandhiji on his, I would call it, fetishization of non-violence. I've written a book on Gandhiji's last days. It's called The Death and Afterlife of Mahatma Gandhi. And when he came to Delhi on the 20th of September, after quelling the riots in Calcutta, you know, in his prayer meetings, you see that he acknowledges that his idea of non-violence had failed. And when the raiders invade Kashmir, he tells Jawaharlal Nehru to send the troops, to airlift the troops to Srinagar. And because of that airlift, Srinagar was saved. Because they had come right up to Pathankot. They were rioting and raping in Pathankot. You can read the record. So Gandhiji gave up on non-violence, except that he said, let the state have the monopoly on violence. So he goes to the mosque in Daryaganj and says, give up your weapons. You're now a part of India. It is the responsibility of the state to protect you. And he says, support the Home Minister, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel. Anyhow, so Sri Aurobindo disagreed with Gandhiji, and he said that in India, we never renounced violence completely for dharma. For him, the ideal was Krishna, who exhorts Arjuna to fight. Of course, Gita was the favorite book of Gandhiji too. But for Gandhiji, Gita was entirely an internal battle between different parts of your own psyche. Anyhow, so all of this happened in India, and the partition was a terrible loss. Maybe if he had followed Sri Aurobindo, there might not have been a partition. When Stafford Cripps came to India, Sri Aurobindo said, remember he had said, we want only Purna Swaraj. But he said, no, accept dominion status. But the Congress said, no. We launched the Quit India movement. And of course, Subhash Bose's Azad Hind Fauj lost in Kohima. That's the history of India. We could not defeat the British. They left. Okay? And even now, it is called the transfer of power. Okay? It's not called, it was not a revolution which pushed them out. So, now I come to a very interesting part of Sri Aurobindo, Sri Aurobindo's life, when he was incarcerated in Alipur jail from 1908 to 1909, when he had a number of spiritual experiences. And he said, after he got out of jail, he gave a famous speech in Uttar Pada, okay, to the Dharma Rakshini Sabha. And that is where he said that when it is said that India should expand and extend herself, it is the Sanatan Dharma that shall expand and extend itself over the world. It is for Dharma and by the Dharma that India exists. But for Sri Aurobindo, the Sanatan Dharma was not a narrow or sectarian creed. He says that that which we call Hindu religion is really the eternal religion, because it is the universal religion which embraces all others. If a religion is not universal, it cannot be eternal. A narrow religion, a sectarian religion, an exclusive religion can only live for a limited time and a limited purpose. This is the one religion that can triumph over materialism by including and anticipating the discoveries of science and the speculations of philosophy. So here's another speech that I invite everyone to read, the Uttar Pada speech. And he says that the Sanatan Dharma, that is nationalism. I think this sums up Sri Aurobindo's idea of Swaraj. Swaraj is really ultimately a spiritual idea. That is what it was in our Upanishads, in the Chandogya Upanishad, in the Taittiriya Upanishad, in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and in the Kaushitiki Upanishad. It is also available in the Rig Veda, in 180. There is a whole sukta on Svaraja, but it describes the qualities of Indra. Archar Anuswarajam. All the lines end with that refrain. And Sri Aurobindo revives this idea, the spiritual transformation of humanity being the real purpose of Swaraj. So Swaraj is not just political independence or even economic independence, but Swaraj is self-illumination. It is self-realization. It is the psychic awakening. It is the understanding of our true nature. And if you read the Taittiriya Upanishad, it is actually said that Indra was able to defeat the Asuras only when he knew who he was. So self-knowledge is essential. You cannot become Virat without being Swaraj. So Swaraj is self-restraint, it is also resistance to evil. And you see something similar in Gandhiji's in Swaraj as well. But we can end by looking at the strange circumstances which made this ancient word become a part of the vocabulary of modern India. And the strange circumstance was that there was a disciple of Sri Aurobindo, an early disciple. He was a Maharashtrian who was born and lived in Bengal. He was born in Devgarh, and his name is Deuskar. And this gentleman, was also Barindra's teacher in the Devgarh school. And he wrote a book in Bangla called Desher Katha, okay, which became a very, very popular book. It sold 10,000 copies in 1 year. And not only that, it went into 5 or 6 editions very fast. And then it was banned. It was banned by the British because that was a book in which what Deuskar did is he disillusioned the youth of India of that great fascination for the British. He showed how the British had pauperized India, something that Dadabhai Naoroji also wrote later in a book called, I think he called it the, it was a book, what is the name of Dadabhai Naoroji's book? Un-British Rule in India, Indian Poverty and the Un-British Rule in India. That's the first book where the drain theory of how colonialism drained our wealth was outlined in great detail. But the person I'm talking about, his name is Sakharam Ganesh Deuskar, 1869-1912. Now, he wrote this book, Desher Katha, in 1904, and it was banned, as I told you. But Deuskar, inspired by Lokmanya Tilak and others, he started organizing a Shivaji Utsav in Bengal, and he wrote a biography of Shivaji. It's interesting how Brahmabandha Upadhyay also wrote about Swaraj in his newspaper called Sandhya. And prior to that, in 1857, we have the first biography or the first book on Shivaji, which was written in 1857, the year of the Great Revolt. And this was a book written by a very interesting man whom we have completely forgotten today. His name is Bhudev Mukhopadhyay. Has anybody heard of Bhudev Mukhopadhyay? He wrote another very interesting book called Swapna Labdher Bharatiya Itihas, which was published in 1897. So it was a book in which he imagined India's independence or India's history had the British not come, to India. So these are books that we have to go back to and read deeply. But the point I'm trying to make is that Shivaji and the Marathas had already become a figure in India's imagination in Bengal in the 19th century. And this was another way to remember them, because otherwise they were only raiders. Remember, Bengal was ruled by the Nawabs. Alivardi Khan was the Nawab of Bengal when the Marathas and the Peshwa were raiding Bengal and extracting Chauth and Sardesh Mukhi. So people in Bengal and Odisha don't like the Marathas. They consider them, what are they called? Bagis or something. No? There's a word for them, raiders, they're called raiders. But here in Bengal, they tried to revive the idea of Shivaji. And Shivaji's notion of Hindavi Swaraj, which actually went back to Krishnadeva Raya and possibly to Vidyaranya, who was the guru of I think, Harihar and Bukharaya. So, what I'm simply trying to say is that this idea of resisting the subjugation of India, the spirit of Swaraj was never completely lost through the 1,000 years of our colonialism. And somehow it was reignited in Bengal by a person we've forgotten today, whose name is Deuskar. And it got picked up by Dadabhai Navroji on the 29th of December in 1906. And from there, Tilak said, Swaraj is my birthright, I shall have it. Sri Aurobindo talks about Swaraj. Gandhiji wrote Hind Swaraj in 1909 in November. And so this word came back into our vocabulary and our imagination. And finally, as I've explained, Sri Aurobindo picked it up and gave it its deeper spiritual meaning and linked it up not only with the independence of India, but with the transformation of the world itself. Because the rise of India for Sri Aurobindo was one step, a necessary step, in the transformation of planetary life on Earth. So with these words, I thank you all very much, and I also invite younger people to read the works of Sri Aurobindo.
Thank you very much, sir, for such a profound lecture. You highlighted the contribution of Sri Aurobindo to modern life and towards all the lives that are still to come. And you also explained how he explored the full potential of human beings. You mentioned an important, interesting relation that how this concept of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav actually we can say that it comes from Sri Aurobindo, where his Nasik speech, where he uses the word nectar for the idea of Swaraj. We discussed how Sri Aurobindo was influenced by Bankim Chand Chatterjee, and we discussed Sri Aurobindo's ideas on knowledge, bhakti, shakti, and his idea of Purna Swaraj and the doctrine of passive resistance. And it was very interesting to note that when Sri Aurobindo was talking about Purna Swaraj, then Congress at that time was talking about no, we should have this dominion status. And when the Cripps mission came, and Sri Aurobindo said that we should actually agree upon dominion status, and Congress was not ready for it. So what we see today may be not the problem of the present, but it's an ancient problem. So we concluded by discussing how Sri Aurobindo disagreed with Gandhiji on the issue of non-violence, and how Sanatan Dharma is actually the meaning of nationalism. So thank you so much again, sir. And with this, I would like to invite Dr. Sanjeev Kumarji to give the vote of thanks. Welcome, sir.
So love has made my task easy by supervising Professor Paranjape. And this is my 5th day at Rishihood. I came back to India to work here after 23 years, spending time in the US. So and it's a very emotional moment for me, because the process that instantiated that decision was started by Professor Paranjape. He retweeted a tweet by his wife about Vedic chanting. So I became very curious. I took that class, and during that class, I learned about Maheshwar Putrani, and I was just blown away by when I started reading more on Maheshwar Putrani, and then I ended up writing a shorter story. I'm writing a play on that. But that set in motion the process that brought me to India. And being here on the 5th day, celebrating Maharishi Aurobindo is very emotional for me. And also I joined Rishihood on the day of his birthday. according to the people, 8th of August. So yeah, so it's an amazing moment for me to thank all of you and show the act of gratitude for what was discussed here. This was a master class for me. I'm an economist by training, and I don't know much about Sri Aurobindo. I have an intuition for his messages, and so I'm going to use Sri Aurobindo as a ladder to climb and maybe to go beyond. So I'll be reading his text, and I would like to, just to be a little bit more formal, I would like to acknowledge here on behalf of Rishihood University, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our chief guest, Ms. Meenakshi Lekhi, special guest Dr Sachidananda Mishra, and Shashibala, chief speaker Dr Makarand Paranjape, convener Dr Sampadananda Mishra, and all the attendees. And that's it. That's the whole. I'm still jet lagged, so thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sanjeev Kumarji, for giving the vote of thanks. And with this, we have reached the conclusion of today's event. And I would request everyone to stand up for the national anthem. Thank you everyone for joining us, and let us move and have some tea and snacks. Thank you.